Sounds like things weren't quite as bad as we originally thought.
You know, it was really surprising how well the city was able to clean this place up. They really started moving in the street sweepers right after the riot was dispersed, and then they continued that cleanup process here today. And then by mid-afternoon, you couldn't even tell anything actually happened. But it was a very violent night. We had 3 officers that were injured, and they ranged from dislocated shoulder to a broken wrist to burns on the leg and ankle. Now, the protesters, for the most part, were very peaceful throughout the day, but there was another element that gathered here at Seattle Central College, and a lot of them were anarchists, and they started marching up Broadway going north, and that's when the protests turned violent and police had to step in.
And then I'll be pressure washing all this off, so.
Chris Mast has his work cut out for him, scrubbing graffiti off dozens of windows and businesses.
We're cleaning up after the fun and happenings of last night.
The day began with peaceful protests.
Everywhere we go!
But shortly after 7 at night, it turned ugly, becoming a full-fledged riot. Justin Grimes works in a pizzeria on Broadway on Capitol Hill. He shot this video as hundreds of protesters passed by, watching the drama unfold.
We actually stopped doing business after about 8 o'clock, just out of fear. Like, we started seeing bombs go off and flashbangs and tear gas everywhere. We just couldn't do it. It was too dangerous.
Rioters throw rocks, bricks, and bottles at officers. They target windows, vehicles, and burn trash cans. 16 rioters are taken away in handcuffs. Officers confiscate a machete, heavy wooden poles, a wrench, rocks, and a hammer. 3 officers were taken to Harborview with injuries ranging from a broken wrist to a dislocated shoulder.
We made a decision to stop it right then and there. It became violent and destructive, and we had to make a move.
Seattle Police Chief Kathleen O'Toole says officers blocked rioters from marching into downtown, a move supported by Mayor Ed Murray.
Once they decided to go violent, the march was over. The fact that the march was over on Capitol Hill versus downtown, that's why it stopped at Capitol Hill. It wasn't about keeping it out of downtown.
For some like Chris, it doesn't have to be this way.
Peaceful protests only go so far, but violence is never the answer.
Now, I did speak with several small businesses here on Capitol Hill, and they were thrilled to see that the rioters did not attack their businesses. And they say a lot of that is thanks to the quick action by police officers. John, back to you. City officials are playing the waiting game right now. They are going to be monitoring the hillside for the next 24 to 48 hours. And at this point, it's anyone's guess what might come next. On this bluff, 3 homes are in danger. The soil is slowly eroding away.
About 8:30 this morning, there was some movement out here, a little bit of soil.
This home's deck sits right on the edge. We tried to speak with the owner, who says it's been a devastating day.
Everyone's safe, so that's the most important thing. And everything else is just property.
All 3 homes have been evacuated and no one was hurt.
I don't know, how can I protect my house? That's a good question now.
Steve On lives right next to the evacuated homes and worries his house is in danger.
Maybe tonight or a future, looks like earthquake noise or a funny noise and shaking.
Neighbors say erosion is nothing new to the area.
We lost about a 20 by 20 patch right on top of the bluffs 6 years ago.
Dorn Porter has lived here for 24 years and is watching his neighbor's hillside closely.
Now, the way these things go along here, this is not a slow creep. This is when it goes, it goes. And
Des Moines building official Larry Pickard is observing the soil for any kind of movement.
We're at its infancy right now, and we're doing our best to assess the situation and keep everybody safe.
Pickard says one of the 3 homes did have a slide repair about 3 years ago, and they'll be monitoring the hillside for the next 48 hours.
Slides like this take a few days to settle in and down, and we're monitoring.
City officials say they are going to begin monitoring that hillside once again about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. In Des Moines, Jeff Van Sant, Q13, Fox News. The slowdown at the ports over the last few months has created a rippling effect through our area, and now that they're completely shut down for the next 4 or 5 days, a lot of businesses in this area are beginning to feel the pinch. Nearly 24 hours a day, products move in and out of Norvanco International in Sumner, from electronics, footwear to houseware.
Primarily, we bring goods in that are manufactured overseas, and we warehouse them, inventory them, and then place and take orders that are shipped all over the world.
But on the docks, nothing is moving today. The Pacific Maritime Association has shut down the loading and unloading of ships for today and again this weekend. An ongoing labor dispute with longshoremen has slowed work at West Coast ports for months. Norvanco is feeling the backlash, struggling to get orders out to big box retailers on time.
Typically, we could pull a container from the port within 2 days of a vessel arriving. Today, we're looking at anywhere from 7 to 10 days for that same container.
It's costly for truckers, too, who have to wait hours just to get a single container from the ports to deliver to Norvanco's warehouse.
Some of the service provider rates have jumped by as much as 50 to 75% in the last 120 days.
Soon, those extra costs could trickle down to consumers who might have to pay more at the store.
I would expect that this would relate to potential price changes long term, simply because the cost of having goods not on the shelf and on the water puts the importers in a difficult, precarious financial position.
It's also a financial burden for manufacturers.
Many of our clients have to hit certain timelines with the big box retailers in order for their goods to be sold. And they're missing those timelines in some cases, and there's significant financial repercussions associated with that.
Today, the ports of Tacoma and Seattle are urging the Pacific Maritime Association and international longshoremen and warehouse unions to reach a deal. And for companies like Norvanco, it needs to come sooner rather than later. In Sumner, Jeff Van Sant, Q13, Fox News.